Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of Industry Chats by Affixify. I am Jasmine, the founder of Affixify and your host of Industry Chats. And it is my absolute pleasure every week to sit down with experts and brilliant minds in hospitality and let them share their knowledge with us. I get to learn along with you, our audience. And today we are celebrating our 50th episode, which I actually can't believe. I actually can't believe it. So it worked out so beautifully that Caryl could join us today. I think that is you're the perfect guest, Caryl. So welcome to Industry Chats.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we know you are, if anyone that's on LinkedIn knows you are all over. You guys are booming with Dragonfly right now. So being here today, I know took some time out of your day, and I'm so thankful. But Caryl, before we jump in, so for those joining, we know this is all things high tech. But before we jump into San Antonio and all of that, we wanted to give you just the floor for a minute to talk about Dragonfly. And I said this to Caryl on the pre-show. I think everyone knows Caryl, but please share a little bit for anyone that doesn't know Dragonfly, what you guys do, because it's so valuable. Our own clients at Affixify have benefited. So tell us a little bit about Dragonfly.
Sure. So I founded Dragonfly about 10 and a half years ago after being in the industry for a really long time. We are a commercial IT and operations advisory firm. And so we do things like revenue for hire, outsourced revenue distribution, sales ops, that type of thing. But then we have a whole advisory side, and I personally lead our technology practice. So I lead the team that does search, selection, install, migration, audits, that type of thing personally. And that is really where my passion lies. I love hospitality, but tech is what makes me super excited. And I think this will be like my 25th high tech. So I've been doing it for a while. Yeah,
Just for a while. Okay.
Just
so that makes
bit.
like my 14 look not as impressive. I love it. No, I think that is phenomenal. And one thing that I think is worth mentioning, because you mentioned budgets and revenue. So we actually had your chief revenue officer, Elise, on our show last August, and that stands as our most watched episode ever of all 50.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, so there is definitely, what you guys are doing is incredible. And I also love the tech front as well. So we can bond on that, of course. But Caryl, thank you so much for joining. And what we wanted to do today, especially given you've been to many high techs, right, is we want to talk a little bit about preparation, because we know that, you and I both know, right? You're walking in, there's so much to be done. If you don't have a plan, you're probably not going to be productive.
100%. And when I first started going, I didn't do much of a plan, right? I'm like, I can just walk in as a trade show. I'll just go booth to booth. And then I'd go up to a booth and they're like, yeah, we really don't have any time available. We can schedule a call with you after high tech or whatever. And that was, frequent. But I learned early on about making appointments. And now, thankfully, I have a chief of staff who's doing all that for me, because she has booked me solid, for 3 days in a row. And, we see it at Dragonfly, of course, we see it as such an opportunity to meet with our partners, because the tech companies that are there, many of them are partners to us. We do, a lot of work with all of them, and bring them clients, obviously. And so it's really an important time for us. But then, of course, HSMAI commercial strategies, same week. So we have tons of clients there as well. And then, of course, at high tech, you're going to see the IT leaders and finance leaders and operations leaders, that type of thing. So it's really a beneficial week, and we try to never miss it. We send multiple people. But I think, really being able to look at who is there, and from a hotel perspective, what are your needs right now? Do you need to meet with 10 PMS companies if you're not changing your PMS? Probably not, right? So really having a plan of what is it you're trying to achieve, who do you want to meet, and then leave a little bit of time though. And I do have a little bit of this because we block a little bit of time just to explore and see what's new and see who maybe I missed, on the list. And it might be a really great connection. I remember last year, I think I connected with Tribe, and I'd never heard of them, right? And so it's just, again, learning some new things. So leaving a little bit of space, and then drink a lot of water because
Yeah.
there's a party every night, 4 parties every night. And so remember to hydrate. I just
Hydrate.
say that's from a prep standpoint, that's an important
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Bring your water. Well,
Yeah.
because you're walking, you're busy. I mean, I usually after high tech, I'm physically exhausted. I know you are too. And I'm just,
Oh yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no more words. There's no more words. So I love that advice. And I actually love what you said about leaving a little buffer. As an operator, hotelier, walking into those doors, they're probably already getting hit with a ton of communication and messaging
Yeah.
from different vendors. So how do you recommend, I love what you said, don't go look at all these PMSs if you're not switching. Do you recommend then starting with like, what are my tech needs or what are my innovation needs in the next year? And then you search that way, or how do you do it with your clients?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it certainly depends on your situation. For example, last year we had a client who's a brand new hotel company, hadn't selected one piece of technology. So we had a ton of meetings with them with all different kinds of companies,
Yeah.
but we had already done the outline of what their vision, what their technology vision
Right.
was, and what their guiding principles were. So we had already somewhat narrowed things down to, these are the companies that line up with that. And so I think, as a hotelier coming to high tech, you need to be sure again that you know what you're looking for, and not just this year. Like if you're thinking about replacing something in 2027 or 2028, now's the time to start having those conversations and evaluating the solutions and the options that are available, because there are so many different options for different types of things. And I think understanding as well who can provide potentially more than one thing to me now is an important conversation as well, because if you're a smaller hotel or even we've worked at big resorts that have 45 different tech providers, right? And that's just a lot to maintain. And so going with the thought of hey, is there a company out there that can give me BI and rate shopping and revenue management and something else, right? So, and evaluating, can we reduce the number of tech companies that we have to work with on a daily basis and solve for that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a very important question right now. In fact, I was on a call last week with a group. They're looking to make a large change, but within that one large change, there's like 10 other systems that they're hoping would be included, and that is a newer conversation, as you know. I say newer. It didn't used to be that way, but we kind of have to move that direction because there's so much. There's so much. I have a question that just comes to mind, especially for our owners and then, our advisors like you. What are you doing about AI? Because there's so much. It's all in our face. I mean, are you telling your clients, like, definitely go look at the new AI tools, or are you more taking the approach of look at what solves your problem? If it's AI, great, but we're not pressing hard into it because there's different kinds of people. Like, what is your take on that? Because we're going to hear so much about it in 2 weeks.
Well, first of all, know what your philosophy is. Decide what your culture is around AI, right? And so, and people have differing opinions and differing thoughts around what lines up with their brand and their brand position. And, is that on brand or off brand, right? To have AI. Do you want it to be at all customer facing, or do you want it to be all back of the house to drive efficiency so that the team members that you have can pay more attention to the guests, right? So you've got to decide what your philosophy is. Then you can narrow down the list, right? Like if you don't want AI to be guest facing at all, that you don't want them interacting with it at all, then don't bother talking to all those companies, right? If that's your philosophy. However, I do encourage all hotels to really lean into this because it's not going away. And I don't think everything's about AI. I also don't think it's artificial. I think it's augmented intelligence. That's how I've had a mindset around it for quite some time. And I really think that the things that AI can do, for example, we're seeing it, and this is guest facing, but we're working with a partner now that a lot of our hotels are embracing, who is doing a lot with PBX and room service. And we're seeing an uptick in room service, the ticket value of it, because when you tell AI to upsell, it always upsells, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't just decide I don't want to do that on this call. And sometimes humans do that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so, if you need someone to answer the phone overnight and you're having trouble staffing 24 hours, AI's there, right? So
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
the other thing with PBX that we're seeing is it's starting to take away the phone tree, right? And it can
Yeah.
just answer, hello, my name's Caryl. How may I help you? Instead of press 1 for this and 2 for this, and you're still hanging on for 9, right? And so
Yeah.
it's streamlining our communication. And many times the outcome of that with guests is it's a better experience, right? So
Yes.
thinking
Right.
about, where can it improve the guest experience? Where can it make our teams more efficient? And with PBX, where can I get insight and intelligence that I don't have right now? And what we're
Right.
finding is when you have AI answering all those calls, you are capturing everything a guest is calling down from their room to ask for or complain about or whatever. And it's in a database, and you can know that a whole bank of air conditioners is going out in, one bank of rooms because everyone's calling with air conditioner issues. You can know about, we realize like we only put 4 towels in our suite, and every single time someone stays in there, they ask for 8. So let's start putting 8 in.
Yes.
Right. So there are things you can identify operationally on a daily basis that you, even with the Alice and hot sauce and Nuvolas of the world, Opti, you can identify some things, but not all things, right? And so it's really interesting to get the operational insights that AI can give you. So I just think, be aware of it, learn what you can. If you can take the time to go out and build your own agent in an hour just to figure out how it all works, do some travel research, of course. But then plan strategically, like where does AI fit into my ecosystem? And that's who you need to schedule time with.
I love that. Was so good. That was like, we're gonna just pull that and make that the clip of the interview. But actually, I think that's perfect. It makes me think we'll have a guest on in the fall, and he, for his resorts, used like a predictive AI tool. I don't want to try to explain it because I don't know, but it basically helps them predict maintenance concerns before they happen in the rooms. And then and they actually won an award for it at the Hotel Tech Forum. So yes, like, this is a thing. And also what you said really resonates, especially having been in sales my entire career. People, as humans, we will either not feel it one day, or, we may not mention something to the guest, or we're going to omit that from the notes, and then it messes up the data. So you're right. I think AI, I love what you said too about being augmented. And I also think it's smart to have that, have your approach ready, because otherwise we'll get a little starry-eyed over all the things, and
starry-eyed, overwhelmed, talked into buying something that maybe doesn't line up with your brand. Like there's a lot of, a lot of waste of time if it's not something that your brand, and even if you're not the founder of the brand, like find out what the owners want, find out what their tolerance is for this. There's got to be, hotel companies need to have an AI guidance system, right? They've got to have guiding principles around it, and it needs to line up with who you are as a brand, right? And so it's really important to do that before you select anything, right?
Well, and I'm going to give no one asked me to do this, but like a plug for people like Dragonfly. And here's why. Because once you can look at all of these things, but if you don't have a solid person in place, like I had someone tell me the other day, I just need someone to like tie a bow on all this tech, because it's so hard to do. And that's where experts like you guys come in. So, even as the owner, the operator, I can go to all of these vendors and talk to all of these people, but please connect with Caryl, Dragonfly, our advisors, and Affixify too, because there are people like you, that's your whole world, is you can help make it all work together and make recommendations. So I also think this is a perfect time to lead into like what the Dragonflies of the world are doing at High Tech. I know what you're going to be doing, but like, how do you guys help your clients put a bow on all of this? And how would a consultant watching approach this conference? Because I also think, like you just said, you would walk up to a booth and people would say, I don't have time. That's crazy to me, by the way. How would you, if you were giving advice to a consultant, do this?
Well, I mean, obviously, same way. Book your appointments. Make sure. I think it's invaluable as an advisor to go to High Tech, honestly, because it's where I keep up with everything. It's where I can build that relationship. So much is about relationship in our industry, even with technology companies. And it is my opportunity to build that relationship, to learn what's on the roadmap, to get to know a third or fourth or fifth or, 50th person from a company that, one day I may need to call for a client. And so I think it's really important that we keep up to speed, that we have those relationships with the companies, that we know what's on the roadmap with the companies, and can understand that. Because I know something like with Affixify, like you typically don't put roadmap items in, and I understand that. But when you're having a conversation with a client as an advisor, you need to be aware of what's coming down the pike, because if you know that this XYZ is really important to your client and that no systems have it yet, but these two are the ones that are committed to the next 18-month roadmap, it's an important conversation to have. You find a lot of that out at these meetings, as long as you schedule time and you come in to each engagement with a list of the questions that you want to ask that particular company. Sometimes I know a company so well, because I've been doing this a while, that it's really just about continued relationship. We're certified with Oracle. I have tons of relationships with that group. So it's really about building relationship there, because I go to their roadmap releases all over the country. I don't need to ask about that. But then there are some appointments where I've got a lot of questions, because it's you and I don't know you, and what are you doing? And so it's exciting, to find out what the new things are, and to understand what direction companies are taking with their roadmap. So it's, I think it's critically important to, know what type of meeting you want to have with the company, and you put yourself in the driver's seat. Don't let them always drive it.
Yeah, I like that advice. And actually, I think it's a perfect balance, and exactly why we partner with people like you, because we can't put it in an algorithm. There's no way to do that. But for you, I mean, you can have that knowledge and have those in-depth conversations. So I think it's very, very smart. And honestly, you're going to be able to know, I think what we found with Roadmap, not to get on a tangent, is like different size clients and prospects have a different pull on every roadmap, right? So you know that, right? So...
And you also know who tends to deliver on time and who doesn't.
You're going to know that.
We kind of know that. So if you're counting on carylhelsel.org to deliver, it's going to be 18 months. But if you're counting on jasmine.org to deliver, it's going to be 3 months, right? So I'm not saying that's how we really are.
No. But I know what you mean. Yes.
Do people actually get stuff done that's on their roadmap or not?
Yeah. And that's where the human element of a consultant just can't be replaced, in my opinion, because that's why you do what you do. You have the experience. So I think that's a really good point. I love that you're encouraging consultants and advisors to come, because it is such an important week. And I would then lead into vendors. I want to hear your take, but the first thing I think is like, vendors, be very open when consultants come to your booth, because they can hold a lot of keys for you. And so anyway, I always am so interested to see like how vendors interact with these meetings, or they're not too busy. But what advice do you give them? Like, hopefully they're planning, right? Vendors are getting the booth. They have the booth. They're going to be there. But what do you recommend? And I have my own opinions, just having been a vendor for many years, right? And like being very well trained by Dawn Hay. But what do you recommend for our vendors? What have you seen done really well at High Tech by the suppliers?
Well, I think, it's important for them as well to schedule some key appointments that they want to have. So obviously the preparation on their side is important. I don't like the mass emails because I feel like they're so not personalized whatsoever. So if you have, 20 key accounts and 5 key advisors that you want to talk to while they're there, make those appointments ahead of time, because they're also not going to have time. I mean, I've got people reaching out to me right now, and I've got very few slots left, right? And so it's important to do that, to do it in enough time to get on people's calendars. It's also important to be sure that you have the right people there that can answer questions. I've been in situations where I've asked tough questions and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I have to call back to a developer to find out or whatever. I'm like, where's your product person?
Yeah.
Like,
This is high tech. Yeah.
It's high tech. You're going to get some hard questions, right? So being sure that you have the right people that are there at your booth,
Yeah.
and being sure that you have enough people where you can
Yes.
also do a little sleuthing yourself on your competition and
Mhm.
just walk the floor yourself and see what's new
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah.
And what do you like if you're a PMS, what are the other
Yeah.
systems you may want to integrate with, those
Yeah.
types of things. But I think lastly, it's again, it's you got 20-30 minutes most of the
Yeah.
time, right? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
sometimes a lot of the companies will have enough people where they can have a separate meeting room. They can have a little bit meatier conversation off the
Right.
floor with somebody. And I
Right.
think those are super important. But I do believe that one of the things that I have seen missing is the follow-up on the other end. And they just send out a mass email like they didn't talk to me for 30 minutes and know what my situation is. Send this mass email. Do you want
Yeah.
to have a call or whatever?
Yeah.
Instead of reaching out to Caryl and saying,
Yes. Yeah.
let's connect on LinkedIn. Let me send you an email because you get it
Yeah.
off of my badge, and let me refer to what we talked about. Remember who I am and what I said to you. So it's almost like you gotta, however you want to do it, you gotta keep track of your leads that come into you. Otherwise, it's wasted. It's wasted time and money. Yeah.
I am like fired up. No, that's exactly right. You're exactly right. And it's no different than after a virtual demo. You can just make a quick note. If you've ever read Fanatical Prospecting, one of my favorite books right now, he says like just keep a piece of paper and make notes for later. I remember in my vendor days, we would go back to the room before any parties and make our notes in our CRM. You don't have to be that committed, but make some notes because you, for example, you're going to have 30, 40 vendors reaching back out saying, Caryl, it was great to meet you. Okay, cool. Good to meet you too. And I would add to that, this is an opinion, but just don't sit down at the booth if there's active traffic all around you. We were always trained, stand up, be approachable. And I know that sounds silly, but gosh, being in hospitality, we want to be super approachable.
Yeah, exactly. And not just sitting down at the booth, like gathering in a corner and just talking to each other and
or
not
eating.
even paying attention or yes. I mean, I know it's hard to eat at high tech.
I know.
Schedule some breaks for your people so different people can go off and eat and come back, right? Like the food's all there, right? So you can make it happen. It's possible.
You can schedule. They should have just brought us in to do like a pre-vendor talk.
I hear you.
No, I think this is so helpful. And Caryl, just kind of as we close out, I wanted to remind our listeners that Dragonfly is a partner on Affixify, and you guys have a networking option in your listing. So if anyone watching, hotelier, owner, operator is like, I want to network with Dragonfly at High Tech, log into your account, connect with Caryl and her team. We'd be happy to connect you guys while there. And Caryl, sounds like you're booked. But I've
got a few spots.
Okay. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, obviously through Affixify, but where else can they, find you? I guess find Caryl. Where's Waldo at High Tech? What would be the best way to get in touch with you and your team? Email, LinkedIn?
Yeah. Email is easy. Caryl, CARYL at dragonflystr.com. We have a website, dragonflystr.com, and there's a sales email on there. I'm copied on those as well. If you want to text me, you can 310-310-9266. It's been a number my son's been like since he was 7. So
you have a double 310. That's easy.
Yeah, I do. But I do have, I'm fairly booked while I'm on the High Tech floor, but then there are times outside of that I definitely am making time to meet, obviously with many of our clients and industry associates. So, and we have 4 people that'll be there, 2 at Commercial Strategy, 2 at High Tech. And we're more than happy and would love to connect.
Okay, I love it. Well, Caryl, these are such good pieces of advice. We are so thankful
Thank you.
for all of your thoughts. We will be sharing this. So, for those watching, if you want to share this with a friend, great information, you can forward it, and we'll also have it on our YouTube by tomorrow. And Caryl, we just can't wait to see you in a couple weeks. It's going to be
I
here so
know.
fast, and you'll be here in our home state of Texas.
I will. I look forward to it, and I'll see you there.
Okay, thanks, guys. We'll be back next week with one final pre-high tech show with Jody Jacobson, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you so much, Caryl.
Bye.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye.